Oh,
Oh, how's it going, guys? What's the latest and greatest? My name is Holy War 007 up in this house. Really?
I'm doing it like them twins. They were doing it that way.
I don't know what twins.
Well, the Hodge twins.
Well, they know who I am. Do they know who you are?
They don't know who I am.
Well, that's good.
Cut though here.
So, I've got a question for you once again. I got a question.
Whenever he starts out, we in trouble, right? Go ahead.
My questions are great. So, did you hear about PlayStation, Sony, well, we'll say Sony, deciding to release, to come out with, hopefully by the end of this year, no set date on it, the PlayStation Classic. So, mind you, it's not the PS1, it's not the PSX, it's the PlayStation Classic. There's supposed to be 20 games on this system. It's supposed to release with 20 games. They've only announced 5 so far, and the target price of this is $100 even, basically $99.99 here in the States. So, with this device that they plan on releasing, and remind you, this system does not have DualShock controllers, so pretty much you can't have DualShocks in this. So, the titles right now that are guaranteed to be on it are Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer, Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. So, my question to you is, how do you feel about it? Are you amped about it? And do you feel that they call it the PlayStation Classics jumping off of Nintendo's classic line of their old systems coming out? Are you sleeping? So anyway, how do you feel about that, and what games do you think should round out the another 15? That's the question. Enjoy. You have the floor, my friend.
That was like a...
There was many questions. Leave it alone. Answer. You know what I'm talking about. Do it.
Okay, well, can I get the Cliff Notes version?
Okay, first question. Have you heard about the PlayStation Classic?
The PlayStation Classic. So, let me ask you, is it like a little miniature?
Yes, it's a small, original PlayStation with an HDMI out.
Because the original one didn't have HDMI out.
No.
It only had the RCA.
Correct.
Okay. And so, is it going to play CDs?
No.
Okay, I did hear something about this. I'll be honest. I heard something about this PlayStation Classic. I don't get the classic, the lure with all this classic stuff. I still have all my systems.
So do I.
Yeah, I still have all my systems, and the ones that got stolen while I was growing up, and somebody broke into our house, I've replaced those over the years. So, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have all my original systems, but I have all the systems I grew up with, and I still own the original versions. So, I'm not into this whole classic lineup thing that Nintendo and apparently now Sony is all into. And people were standing in lines for these things. And now you can find the NES Classic sitting on the shelf at Walmart. It's like 30 of them and no one's buying them. So, to answer your first question, I've heard of it.
Okay, next question. Do you feel that they should have named it something else other than PlayStation Classic?
I mean, hell, they're running out of names. Because how many versions of the damn PlayStation came out? PlayStation, PS1, PSX, and PlayStation Mini.
Let's just say there's a lot of...
Yeah, there's a whole lot of original PlayStation. So when you say what I think about that naming convention, shit, what else was they going to call it? They done came out with so many systems, they didn't have no other names.
Okay, so the next thing, how do you feel that this system is going to be so classic that there is no DualShock functionality in any of the games that are going to be coming out with it? So that means it has to be super original.
Y'all are spoiled. The DualShock didn't even come out really until they revamped the PlayStation.
Correct.
So
but
it was at the end of the life of the PlayStation when the DualShock controller came out. And then they were re-releasing all the games with DualShock ability and selling it for full damn price.
But that's also when the PlayStation really got super deep into stride, where everybody was like, this is like the greatest system in the world. I can't wait for this Part 2 system to come out. Because the games basically took a new step to the next generation during that part of the life cycle of the PlayStation. So, now,
third question.
Third question is, out of the 5 games that I named earlier, what other games would you like to see on the system that deserve the classic treatment? Sir.
Refresh me.
Of the titles?
No.
Oh.
Refresh me real quick.
Yeah.
The Sega competitor to the PlayStation was the Saturn, right?
It was a Saturn and the Dreamcast at the very end, because the Dreamcast still came out before
PlayStation 2. So I wasn't a big PlayStation fan. I mean, everybody and their mama was on PlayStation. I had tons of PlayStation games, but my system of preference was actually the Saturn. So you asking me to name, what is this, 12 more games?
15, but still no.
So it's a total of 18 games?
No, total of 20 games.
It's a total of 20 games.
For $100.
And that's not bad. I mean, considering that, I mean, this is when we started breaking into discs. Mm-hmm. And what each disc is, 700 megabytes? Mm-hmm. So if you have a game like Final Fantasy VII, you mentioned, which is what? 4 discs if you imported it from Japan, which like I did.
Nobody cares.
So you're talking about, 3 gigs?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about 3 gigs. And then you're talking about possibly having 20 variants of 3 gig games. So you're talking about...
But most of the other games that are going to be on it
are still going to be 700 megabytes.
Single disc.
Even the WAV files alone, because that was back when you could put the actual PlayStation disc in a CD player and just play the music. So even the WAV files that's on the disc is still going to take up pretty much the 700 megabytes that the disc represented. Okay, so at this point, we talking, let's just do 20 times 7. What's that? So we talking about, 10 gigs worth of data, minimum, if they don't do any more games like Final Fantasy, minimum. So just for the storage alone, now how much are you paying nowadays for like a 20 gigabyte thumb drive? $20? Maybe $10 or something like that. So $20 just for the storage alone, not to mention the licensing behind the titles that they're going to put on it. $99 don't seem like a big deal to me. I think it's a good deal. To answer your question, what do I feel the other 12 titles should be? Honestly, I don't know. I don't really give a shit because I'm thinking more along the lines of, is there 20 titles from the PlayStation library that you would go out of your way to plug in, not you, but if you had to pull it out of a box plug it in, find the disc, find the control, and put the game in to play it. Are there 20 PlayStation titles that you could call out that you would do that for today? Because I don't think that there are.
I got the PlayStation me because I was a Nintendo fanboy. I'm not gonna lie. You couldn't tell me anything that Nintendo didn't do wasn't gold. So I got the PlayStation extra late in its life cycle.
Oh.
I got the PlayStation right before Final Fantasy VIII came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were late.
Yeah, I was extra late.
I was extra early. I imported mine.
So, anyway, for the original PlayStation games, I probably could go back and maybe name a couple that they might round out.
But you wouldn't get up to 20 titles that you would plug your PlayStation in for today. I don't think you could.
Not of the original early section.
No. They didn't say it was only going to be early.
Yeah, it has to be the early section because the later half of the games that started coming out, the games that were really good, groundbreaking games, were games that required DualShock.
I call bullshit. I don't think Metal Gear was DualShock.
Yes, it was. I almost guarantee it. I can almost guarantee that's a DualShock.
I think you're stretching that, sir.
No. But anyway, for me, Symphony of the Night. So to keep the price down, they're only going to have to have a certain group of developers, so they don't have to have tons of licensing thrown out. So I think developers that they should definitely try and keep is definitely Capcom's lineup, maybe Konami's lineup because Konami had some great games. Square Enix, which they probably, or Squaresoft, since they already have them with the PlayStation, so you can get maybe Silent Hills and things like that out there. Like Street Fighter, the only one that was probably somewhat halfway decently definitive for the PlayStation would be Alpha 3.
No, you can't do that. You cannot do that. Because the problem when you go with a game like Street Fighter is any Street Fighter that you can name that came out on the PlayStation was readily available on another console. A game like Final Fantasy and Metal Gear were only PlayStation titles. So therefore, the 20 games that you named couldn't be a cross-platform title like Street Fighter. So it would have to be bullshit like Twisted Metal, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon.
Okay.
What else? Nothing really. That's what I'm saying. I don't think.
Well, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
No, that was a cross-platform. That was just a port. Hold on. Fans, check me. That was just a port from the TurboGrafx 16 CD version. Castlevania X.
No, that would have to be Bloodlines.
No, Bloodlines came out after.
I call
so you can't even claim Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Furthermore, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is getting a PS4 release coming up here soon. So there would be no purpose of releasing on the PlayStation Classic.
So, but it's been re-released even before that.
I agree. Hence another reason why I won't be on the PlayStation Classic. But the games that should be on this PlayStation Classic are more than likely going to be first-party titles to Sony, exclusive titles, and I don't think you can come up with 20. As a matter of fact, I challenge you to even get over 10.
Gran Turismo?
I give you that one.
Wipeout? Or Wipe something? Yeah.
Yeah, Wipeout. I think it was Wipeout. I might give you that one. Okay.
Well, the Crash and the Spyro.
Right. I gave you those. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to give you those, but keep going. You're not doing too good. Go ahead, keep going.
Well, if you're going to rock it with Mega Man, I would do.
Nope, you can't. You can't do Mega Man because that's multi-platform.
No, but the X series from what 2 to 7 was only for PlayStation, and if I was going to do only those in between those, I would rock X4.
Okay, so you're up to 5 titles now.
With the 5, that's already there.
That's my point. That's my point right there. It's like I have fond memories of the PlayStation. The PlayStation was a very great console. I think it changed the industry. I don't think that it was groundbreaking, but people were really sleep on that Saturn. People were really sleeping on that Saturn, and it was the price point that drove Sega out at that point. But they had the better system, so they could kind of justify having the price point. Yep. And if you look at the titles that the Saturn was releasing upon its release versus the titles that the PlayStation was releasing upon its release, hence we'll just go Mortal Kombat 3 on the original PlayStation versus Virtual Fighter. Think about how those games looked starkly different between the two upon release. And the Saturn came out, if I'm not mistaken, the Saturn came out before the PlayStation. The Saturn came out in 94. And the Saturn lived, what, 3 lifetimes? No, 4 lifetimes longer than the PlayStation.
But only overseas, because people wouldn't hop on Sega's bandwagon.
So, now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for cutthroat conspiracy theories. Y'all ready? Here we go. I don't want to hear that shit about overseas. Did you read the article that came out? Maybe
I don't read. Black people don't read. What would you say?
Black people do read. Don't listen to that foolishness. There are some of us that are very smart because we do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you read about the article that came out maybe 8 years ago where it come to find out Sony, how did this work? Sony basically espionage attacked Sega USA because the marketing lead for Sega USA was an ex-Sony employee. And therefore, this dude was shitting on the Saturn when it was out and wasn't releasing the popular titles over here in the US so that the Saturn wouldn't do good and that the Sony would. That's why the Saturn lasted so much longer in Japan, because it was just a better system. But this didn't come out until I think the PlayStation 3 was well into its, it was like on its last leg. And then this sort of information came out. And I was just like, I knew it. I knew something was wrong. But they didn't do any proper marketing for the Saturn here in the U.S. And yeah, a lot of my games on the Saturn are imported because they were just... And it was so weird back then because the imported games would have English versions.
Yeah, because I did rock a Saturn for a little bit. It was definitely in the end portion of its life cycle, definitely. But I did rock some Saturn titles.
Now, I bet you I could name 20 Saturn titles.
So would you buy a Saturn Classic if they
Abso-freaking-lutely. If they released a Saturn Classic today, I would buy it.
What titles would be on this Saturn Classic?
Panzer Dragoon 1, 2, 3, and Saga.
Damn. So
I'm sorry. So 1, 2, and Saga. Yeah, would definitely be on there. Shining Force 3. Virtual Fighter, easy. Virtual Fighter 1 and 2. What was that? Was it Daytona? Yeah, Daytona would be on there. Virtual Cop.
Ooh.
What else would be on there? Did we already say Knights?
Would you rock Third Strike?
Again, that's a cross-platform game. No, and Third Strike didn't come out on the Saturn.
Huh?
What else would I put on there? Virtual Tennis. I think there was a Virtual Tennis on the Saturn.
Okay, good start.
You see what I'm saying? It's much easier to name great Saturn title. Oh, Guardian Heroes. That was a Saturn exclusive. It's much easier to name great Saturn games than it is. What was that dungeon crawler game? It was kind of like a bootleg gauntlet, but it was an overhead view and it was only on Sega. What was the name of that game?
I don't know.
What was the name of that game where they would fight and there was like a girl on roller skates and you could like knock some of her clothes off? It was the first fighting game where they were knocking the clothes off. I have it. I just can't think of the name of it. And it wasn't really popular, but it was only on the Saturn.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It was a goofy little game, but that was the Saturn exclusive. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know it was. It was something. What? Bug. I love Bug.
Bug?
You don't remember the little cricket that would run around and he would jump on things and crawl through the sand?
No, like I said,
what?
Late purchase of the system.
What else came out on the Saturn? I probably could go on and on.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to cut this one up while he's going down memory lane.
Anyway, did I answer all your questions? I don't know. I may end up getting a PS Classic. I may, I didn't buy an NES Classic. It's really hard for me to buy those because before they banned ROM publishing, I have, as you are well aware, I have the ROMs for all of the. I still own the systems, and that kind of justified me being able to, back then, download the ROMs. And, yeah. So
Well, that should be a good topic coming. What do you take on ROMs? Do you feel they hurt or help the video game industries? That's just something to put out there. We'll probably hit that on another video because I got some points that I'd like to hit on that.
Well, anything else you want to put in this video?
No. Well, anything. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I do. So anyway, about this PlayStation Classic. I personally think the price point's a little high for only maybe 2 games. And right now, only 1 game that I'd even really consider booting that whole thing up to play. And I have 4 copies of Final Fantasy VII. And once again, we've fought about this for days. And we're on the same page. Because everybody in the world, I'm about to get some shit for this and some heat. Everybody in the world thinks that is the greatest RPG ever created or ever game ever. But there's so many flaws in this great game. And we're not going to go into detail, but I'm just saying that is a long video in itself for us to go into detail on that. But anyway, that would be the only game right now that would make me even want to power that thing on. And I was never really a Crash Bandicoot fan. I was never a Spyro the Dragon fan. Ridge Racer, that was fun in the arcades, but as soon as anything else came out, I thought it was, Gran Turismo, if they even released that, which is not even set in stone, that may be one I'd want to play.
Fighters Remix.
Who's Fighters Remix?
That was the name of the game where you could not...
Good close off. Anyway, so me, at this exact point in time, I personally don't think the PlayStation Classic is worth the time purchase or anything of that nature.
Would you buy a Saturn Classic?
with the handful of titles that you're talking about, it does seem very interesting. Yeah.
You know, I think it was hell. You know, I think people will really sleep on that console, and if Sega were to release a Saturn Classic, this would revitalize the. Because I mean, hell, the Saturn just died in Japan maybe a year, 2 years ago.
So anyway, I would hope that Sega would undercut Sony on the price point of their Saturn Classic, which would probably be down the road because everybody's releasing. Because the Commodore 64 even got their classic, and that was 64 games on that. And sure as hell beats the hell out of the 20.
And now they re-released another Neo Geo. So I bought the Neo Geo.
Another video. We're trying to close this one. He bought the Neo Geo. Who had $600 back then?
Black Image Entertainment here. Cutthroat Jones.
Holy War 007. 600.
If you have any comments or questions or questions that you want to ask us, leave it in the comments below. Slap that subscribe button. We out.
600.
Peace.
600.
I'm talking about black.